Hi guys, it's Miss Freeman. I'm so sorry I'm not here for science today. I had a meeting at a master teacher meeting, so I want y'all to go ahead and watch me. I'm going to teach you science today on a video, and then when we come back tomorrow, we'll look at it in our pinball machines. Okay, so guys, we left on Friday, and we were talking about objects changing direction. So I want you to try to remember all the things that we talked about on Friday. So today we are going to tell about how an object can change directions. We're going to use our science vocabulary words as our evidence. We're going to look at an object changing directions and think about it from some pictures. And then we're going to discuss why an object can change directions and how that happens. Okay, so here's our science vocabulary words. A force can be a push, a pull, a kick, a hit, anything that puts something in motion. So that's what a force can be. You could have a gentle force, which is very soft, or a strong force, which is a little bit harder. When we talk about force, we talk about distance. Did it go short or did it go long? How far did it go? We can also talk about direction. Did it go left or right? Did it go up or down? So today we want to figure out different ways to make our pinball change directions so that we can use what we learned to design our class pinball machine. So guys, I don't have the pinball machine at home with me to when I'm making this video, so we'll have to do our pinball machine tomorrow. But I want you to go ahead and think about some things that we can do to our pinball machine so that tomorrow we can work on that when I get back to school. Okay, so how are we going to make that pinball change directions? That's kind of our question that I want us to think about today. So in order to figure out how a pinball can change directions, we have to figure out how a moving object could change directions. And we're going to have to use our evidence. So I want you to think about, why does a ball change directions? And what is our evidence? Guys, remember, scientists use evidence. All right, here we go. I want you to look at this picture of the kids playing table tennis, or you call it ping pong ball. All right, so the ball is going to one side of the table, and then it goes to the other side of the table. So how does the ball change directions? We talked about this on Friday. I want you to think about what is making that ball go the other way. Okay, so here's a question. I want us to figure out this sentence. It changed directions. It is the ball. So the ball changes directions because what exerted a force on it? Let's go back and look at the picture. Okay, so it was going to the one side of the table, and now it's going to the other side of the table. So what made it change directions? Was it a book, the floor, a hand, or a paddle? What made that ball change directions? Okay, when I look at the picture, I can see that the paddle is making that ball change directions. So I'm going to move the paddle into our box. So let's read our sentence and make sure it makes sense. It changed directions because a paddle exerted a force on it. Exerted means to make it happen, like they exerted it. They either, it was that energy that made the force happen. Okay, so if you guessed paddle, give yourself a little pat on the back. Good job. All right, this one's tricky. We're going to talk about this in a little bit. So look at this basketball, and we want to think about our evidence, because remember, scientists have very good evidence. So I want you to think about this basketball. The basketball goes to the floor, and then it goes back to her hand. And then it goes back to the floor, and then it goes back to her hand. So the ball is going down and up, down and up. So what is making that ball change directions? I want you to think about it. What is exerting the force on that ball? Okay. So now it is the ball. It changed directions because blank exerted a force on it. Did a book exert a force? No. Did the floor exert a force? So when she pushed the ball down, what made the ball come back up? It was the floor. Yes, so I could say that it changed directions because the floor exerted a force on it. But I don't want, if you had a different answer, I don't want you to think you're wrong. Because after it hit the floor, it was going back up. And when that ball was going back up, what made the ball go down? Well, now it was the hand. So there were two correct answers for this one. It went down because a hand exerted a force on it, and it went up because the floor exerted a force on it. So that one actually had two answers because it was both the hand made the ball go down, but the floor made the ball go up. So I want you to think about a force could be a moving object. The moving object was the hand, but a force could also be an object that doesn't move, an object that is still. Okay, so now I want us to really think about an object changing directions. We've talked about a force being a push, a pull, a throw, a kick, or a hit. Okay, just like right here. And we've also talked about how it can be a gentle force and go a short distance, or it could be a strong force and go a long distance. It could go to the left, or it could go to the right. We talked about that at the beginning of our lesson. Now we're going to talk about changing direction. So here we're going to add this girl. It looks like a girl. She is kicking it. So she is making an object change direction because she kicked it. Look at this orange ball. It goes wing. It is changing direction. But look right here. This ball hit a wall. So when it hits a wall, it can still change directions, right? So we are thinking and we're reflecting that it could change directions because of a moving object, which could be a girl, a boy, a man, a lady, something that is moving. Or it could also change directions by a wall or a floor or a ceiling. It could change directions from the object that is absolutely still. And we talked about that on Friday, how we said if we threw a ball up and it hit the ceiling, it would come back down. So an object could be totally still and still change directions. Okay, I want you to think about how we're going to make our ball change directions in our box model. So we're going to have to add some things to our box model in order to make it change directions. So I want you to think about this. Each time we figure out an answer to an investigation question, so like how does it change directions, we can use what we're learning to change our box model. So we're going to think of some goals today, and we want to make our pinball machine or our box model change directions. So let's see. We're going to come up with some designs. We're going to use, okay, I don't think the video will play because I'm making a video, so we might have to watch this video tomorrow. But here we go. I want you to look at our box model. This is what we have. We have our rubber band across the box, And we have our shoestring to pull our ball. And now we're going to add a rubber band, and we're going to add some of these sticks. Our rubber band is going to be our bumpers. So we want the ball to hit the rubber band and bounce off. And these sticks will be what we call flippers. And the sticks will be some things that hit our ball to make it go the other way. Let me show you what that could look like. So here's one way we could do it. But I want you to think about, where would you like to put our bumpers? They have the bumper up here in the corner. Do you think we could have put another rubber band over here on this side? Do you think we could put a rubber band across the top? I want you to think about where you would like to put bumpers on our box model, because then what's going to happen is we're going to hit the ball, and the ball's going to come and hit these bumpers. It's going to hit the rubber band, and when it hits the rubber band, it's going to cause the ball to change directions, okay? We can also put these flappers onto our box model. So then when our ball comes back down, we can move these flappers to make our ball hit the other way. So actually, we would be able to get our ball to change directions, because if we hit our ball to go up, we would not want our ball to come back down. We would want to try to get it. Remember, we're going to have a target in our box. And so when we put a target in our box, we want to make sure we hit that target as many times as we can. So we don't want our ball to fall back down. We want to use our flappers, and our bumpers to hit that ball and make it hit our target. So what I want you to do is I want you to think, because when I come back to school, I want us to think about where we can put some rubber bands to make bumpers and where we can put our sticks to make flappers. Okay, so when I come back to school tomorrow, you're going to tell me how to make some design changes, and we are going to try it out. We are going to launch our ball, and we are going to use our flippers and our bumpers to see if we can change directions. Okay, so a moving object changes direction when another moving object exerts a force on it. But remember, it could also be a still object. Here's the next one. A moving object changes directions when a still object in its way exerts a force on it. So remember, it can hit the side of the box, or it could hit something moving like the flappers. So the bumpers would be a still object, or the side of the box would be a still object, and the flippers or the flappers would be the moving object. We can move that flipper or that flapper to make the ball go in the other direction. Okay, so you might be at home or you might be at school. I want you to tell somebody how to make a ball or an object change directions. I want you to talk this out today. And if you can't remember how to make it change directions, I want you to come back up here and I want you to look at our chart. Or you could come back up here. So we could look at our chart and you could look at the girl or the wall. Or I want you to come back up here and look at our pictures. So the ball hits her hand, and the ball hits the floor, and the ball hits the paddle. So I want you to think about how an object changes directions, and I want you to talk about it. I want you to use your science vocabulary words with your friend or with your mom, your dad, your sister, or somebody who's taking care of you. All right, I want you to use your vocabulary words. I want you to think about what we saw with the object changing directions. And I want you to discuss why it changes direction. So what does it hit? And then how did it change by a still object or by a moving object? Great job, guys. Thank you so much for doing your science today. I'll see you